Welcome to the 2023 meeting. Please all stand for the pledge. Thank you. You may be seated. I don't know how many of you people are aware of or have ever heard of the missing man table. But I decided to set one up this morning because I did this at another meeting and it was not only powerful and emotional, but it was information that many people there did not know. Each item on the missing man table represents the emotions and feelings reserved for those who did not come home. The ceremony symbolizes that they are with us here in spirit. All Americans should never forget the brave men and women who answered our nation's call to serve and who fought for our freedom and honor. The symbolism of the missing man table follows. The cloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their motives when answering the call to serve. The single red rose displayed in the vase reminds us of the lives of these Americans and their loved ones and friends who keep the faith while seeking answers. The red ribbon symbolizes our continued determination to account for our missing. A slice of lemon represents their bitter fate, captured and missing in a foreign land. A pinch of salt symbolizes the tears of our missing and their families long for answers after decades of uncertainty. The lighted candle reflects our hope for their return, the light of death. The Bible represents the strength gained through faith to sustain us and those lost from our country, founded as one nation under God. The glass is inverted, symbolizing their inability to share a toast. And the chair is empty, a seat that remains unclaimed at the table. Okay, thank you, Carol Taylor, for getting our donuts for us today. Mark Stein always buys them for us, and he does it the day before, and we simply go over and pick them up. Well, Mark Stein is over in eastern Arizona, and so he deposited the money into our checking account, and Carol has a debit card, so she was going to buy the donuts for us yesterday. They were closed yesterday. So they opened at 4:30 this morning, and Carol said she would go get them. And I said, oh my goodness, Carol, you don't need to go over there 30. And she said, well, I'm up with the cat. I'll go early.
20 to 9. I said, oh, I got out my mug and I said, we forgot the donuts. And it called us.
Thank you, Carol.
You might want to think twice about replacing me. Yeah, but we'll get more dollars if we bring it.
So you're going to give the job back to Dennis. Is that right, Gary? Okay, I wanted to recognize our board of directors. My name is Richard Long. I'm obviously I'm up here. Carol is our vice president. David Van Ostall is our secretary over at the table. Gordon over at the table also is our treasurer, and Larry is our technology guru. And I can tell you from our November meeting when Larry's not here, and Tim had all the nerve to go to Colorado. And I was left with the technology. Thank God for Jose. The rest of our members at large, well, I don't miss anybody. Dan Cook is here, back in the corner. Steve Morris, Don Seymour back in the corner. Jimmy Strock, I have not seen. I think she's out of town. Bruce Schwartz had a VA appointment this morning. Dick Two is someplace over there. And Bob Whalen is here as well. We've had 2 resignations from our board at the year end. Tom Shambo, past president. Tom, would you stand please so that we can recognize you? He was the president for 6 years. And when he turned it over to me, he said, "You're on for the next 6 years." And I said, "No." I'm older than he is, so I don't dare take a 6-year term. And the other one is Tim Meenan. Tim was our membership person for many, many years. I think probably closer to 8, maybe more than that. No. Billy Schwartz was membership right about that. So that's probably about right. Anyway, he has just moved to Texas to be with new grandchildren. And so we're going to miss Tim. Okay. Our speaker today. I found out about this program quite by accident. There was a lady that lived in Continental Ranch someplace. I do not know this lady. I don't even remember her name actually. That knew somebody in Sunflower that asked if she could have a connection to a veterans person so that she could figure out how to make a donation to an agency that she wanted to be passionate about, just veterans. She and her husband were long-term fly fishing. They had a garage full of stuff. He passed away. She was in her 80s, no longer interested in fly fishing. I contacted the DAV. They had just lost their storage capabilities and so weren't able to make that work out. So I called the volunteer services down at the VA hospital and asked them if there was anything that they knew about where this donation could be made. And they said, as a matter of fact, part of our activities deals with Project Healing Waters. They gave me the name of a person that would meet with the lady and accept the donation. They also gave me the name of the person that was the leader of their program here in Tucson. His name is Jim Owens. He's been the program leader since 2015. He's a fellow veteran serving in Vietnam from 1968 to 1969. After the military, he attended the College of Pharmacy at the University of Arizona, and he retired in 2010. So even though he's not a fly fisherman, he began volunteering at Project Healing Waters fly fishing in 2013. And now for the rest of the story, please welcome Jim Owens.
Thank you for having me. I'm going to ask you to indulge me. I started a new blood pressure medication and my mouth is so dry I have to keep getting a drink every few minutes. As Richard said, I'm the lead of Project Healing Waters in Southern Arizona. It's a national organization, and our group covers Tucson and the rest of Southern Arizona. We have about 140 fly tying classes a year. We fish locally about 40 days, and we have 16 rod building classes each year. Each new participant builds their own fishing rod and we give them a reel, and that's something that's theirs forever. In addition to the local trips, we have trips out of town because there's not much fishing in Tucson, so we have to travel. And we make several trips up to the White Mountains. We do a trip every year to the San Juan River. And we make one trip to Alaska. For the last 7 years, we haven't missed a year. To tell you about what we really do, I'm going to show you a short video, 6 minutes. But you will see that there's people there from Phoenix and from Las Cruces. The year that I started this, I decided I would see if I could generate some cooperation between the 3 different programs. So that's why you have a few people there that we invited. So if we can have the video.
It's just very serene. Very, very serene.
This water works wonders for aching bodies and troubled minds. Just ask the wounded military veterans who come here to experience the healing powers of fly fishing.
You know, being out here in nature and experiencing this has just been something that I really have needed.
It takes all your problems away when you're catching those big fish.
I needed something to help ease my mind and forget about my pain sometime.
This is Silver Creek, an 840-acre wildlife area near Show Low that's owned and managed by Arizona Game and Fish. It's a popular spot for anglers of all ages and a great place to catch trout all year long. But the morning of October 1st is extra special. It's not only the start of a 6-month catch and release season at Silver Creek, it's also an opportunity to reel in some really big fish.
Here we go again.
Game and Fish stocks them here into the upper section of Silver Creek. It's an area off limits to fishing all summer long. But during the catch and release season, it's open to the public.
Look at the size of that fish.
Holy smokes, that thing is
Isn't that
huge.
nice?
And on opening day, Game and Fish invites the wounded warriors with Project Healing Waters Fly Fishing to be among the first to cast a line, catch a memory, and forget about their troubles for a while.
If it runs, you let them go because you're going to snap the leader up.
Oh my God.
Okay.
You were holding on too tight to your line.
Yeah.
Good going, girl.
I'm sorry. I got all emotional.
Here, let me have you ride.
Fish on.
Nice one.
That is my initial experience in fly fishing. So anytime I catch a fish, learn something new, it's always a good day.
This guy's a runner.
Yeah, he is.
Talk to him.
Come on. Get back here. Being a veteran, I was diagnosed with PTSD and stuff, and some of the experiences in Iraq, just kind of like my house was my safe haven and stuff. So I didn't, if I was in my safe haven, why would I want to go anywhere? Come on. No, please.
Who's tiring who out?
Tiring me out. Oh, and if it wasn't for my wife, Mary, she's the one that actually found the organization online, ended up going to an orientation with the Phoenix Project Healing Waters and got me hooked into it and stuff. I love fishing. Thanks to Project Healing Waters for teaching me how to do this. My first trip with them, and biggest fish I ever caught was these two right now. So it's a good day, definitely a good day.
Oh man, today's been awesome. Been catching a whole bunch of nice big trout.
There are some amazing fish here today. A lot of these guys have never come close to catching a fish this size.
It's just a good opportunity for people to come out here and fish in general as far as the catch and release season, and it's unique in that it's one of the only waters where we stock really big fish during that season for people to come out and catch during the winter time.
Ah, got him.
Fish on. Just take a look. Oh, he's a hog.
fish that are in here are usually between, there's nothing going to be really smaller than about 3 pounds, up to around an 8 or 9 pound range. So they're really big fish in here. So during the catch and release season, you can only use a single barbless hook, and you can't use any bait. You have to either use a lure or a fly.
Oh, there he is.
These we have to play quite a bit. It takes a couple minutes to get them in and land them.
You gonna take them down, or you gonna put them in the net?
And get them back into the water as fast as we can so they'll survive.
Beautiful.
We're trying to build up and to spread the word on how much fun this is and how much this heals, because when you're out here and you're fishing, you're not thinking about everything else. You're focused on what you're doing, the task at hand, and it's so much fun. It gives you a break.
Right there, come on. It's like, holy smokes.
Okay.
Oh, oh,
No.
oh. Oh, shucks.
Our group meets once a week to tie flies, and we have a place we can fish once a week. And so we try to create a family. It just gives them somewhere else other than the hospital or their own family to communicate. They get to spend time with people who understand what they're going through.
I had PTSD real bad, and I didn't leave the house, and I didn't talk to people.
Come on, buddy.
I used to love fishing, but I was so isolated and stuck in my house that I didn't do those things. I didn't have enjoyment in life anymore. And this is a big part of my life, Project Healing Waters. I mean, I feel they saved my life.
I really think I've gotten more out of this than the soldiers. This is the best thing I have ever done. It's given me a purpose since I retired. It feels good to have people come up and tell you that you've changed their lives.
I've had 2 lower back surgeries, PTSD. I've also had to deal with MST, military sexual trauma. Before Project Healing Waters, all I could focus on was what I couldn't do.
There you go.
They've taught me is what I can do. I can still be outside. And I can still enjoy the camaraderie of being with friends. It's changed my life.
This is what it's about therapy. That's why it's called Healing Waters.
After we've been fishing on opening day for about 4 years, the Department of Fish and Game got behind this, and they arranged for food for us, and they isolated an area that was only for disabled vets. And then you saw the honor guard, so that's made a big difference. We usually take about 30 to 35 veterans, and a lot of people come up and volunteer to help them, and then the Fish and Game arranges for the food and drinks. The mission statement of our national organization is that we will help veterans by teaching them to fly ties. Tie their flies, rod, and we'll teach them the basics of fly fishing. But my mission in Tucson is to build a group, an organization where veterans who are having problems can meet, and they have a group of friends that they can trust, that they can rely on, someone that they can contact in a time of need. That's my goal. And we use fly fishing as a mechanism. But once veterans get to the meetings and meet everybody and understand our organization, then fly fishing is secondary. A primary part of that process is on trips where people can go and they're together 24 hours a day. At the end of the day, they talk and they get to know each other. for our organization, we have to raise all of the money for these trips. Our national organization pays for the money for fly tying and rod building. But if we want to travel, which is so important in Tucson, we have to raise the money. So when I became president, what I worried about most was fundraising. I had never raised a dime for anyone, and that became part of my duties, and that scared me. But I have gotten where I raised in Tucson about $30,000 a year. If you're going to take 30 veterans out of town for 3 days and provide housing and food, it's expensive. We work a lot with the polytrauma unit in Tucson, at the VA, of course. A lot of people who are amputees, and we go out and we recruit them. I was giving a talk not long ago to the wives of disabled soldiers. And so I'm explaining the program, and out of the back comes, "You mean we get a break?" Because we take these soldiers on trips anywhere from 3 days to a week, and there's no cost to them. So even families that can't afford it, someone can get out of town and relax. But the best way to tell you about our program is I'll tell you the story of a few of our veterans. I don't tell any stories unless I've asked somebody and gotten their permission to talk about their goals and trip. Recently, I had a success. This was just before the COVID, where we stopped for 2 years. I got a call from a counselor at the VA and also the wife of a veteran. And he had given them permission to contact me. He had not been out of his house in 5 years, except for trips to the doctor. And so I contacted him, and he was reluctant to come, even though he almost told them he'd do it. So I sent a group of disabled veterans over there to talk to him, tell him what our program had done. So the day that he was supposed to attend his first fly tying class, he called me 3 times, and his question each time was, "Will I be safe?" So he showed up that night, and he was like a deer caught in the headlights. At the end, I talked to my major helper, and I said, "I don't think he's coming back." But he was back next week, and he has attended probably 85% of the sessions since then. So his is a story that makes me proud. We have participants of all ranks. We have a colonel, a major, and a couple of captains, and they're always teasing about how the mission went wrong. The major and the captain will say, "Well, it was probably the overall process that somebody didn't have the right vision." Then the captain will say, "Well, the major didn't plan this mission very well." And then the captain and the colonel will say, "I don't know what was wrong with that company commander, but he just didn't do what we told him." So Mario, who was the major, was getting out of a Humvee, and an RPG hit the other side of the door. He had a major traumatic brain injury, and he had to relearn to walk. He had to relearn to read. And when we first met him, he was in a wheelchair. And then eventually he recovered. And he's one of my primary helpers. He's the person I can send when I want to coax a new participant out of his house. He still can't drive because sometimes there'll be too much information coming in and he freezes. but he's my go-to participant. Then I'll tell you about another participant, one of the captains, and he was leading a mission in, I've forgotten what city in Iraq, and he had a major traumatic brain injury. And he came to our program, he was still having trouble walking, some PTSD problems. And sometimes he has some emotional problems. We were getting on an airplane once and the gate person said, you know, I'd like to let some disabled veterans board first. And we're starting to board and somebody says, they don't look very disabled to me. Well, Hector was the wrong person to say that to him. And I can tell you this guy was scared. But, you know, I put my hand on Hector's shoulder, then I touched his arm and I said, Hector, it's not worth it. Just ignore him. And he finally relaxed. But Hector is not a person I would want mad at me. He grew up in the gangs in East LA. And to get out of the area, he didn't want to end up like his older brothers. One was in jail for murder. The other works for a drug cartel in Mexico. So he joined the army. And he was an enlisted man for 6 years, got out, used his GI Bill to get a master's degree, and then went back in as an officer. I'll tell you a story about a different participant. He had left our program and moved to another state. But when he had problems, we were the people he called. He hadn't made a connection with anyone else, and he knew he could call us. And so he called me one day, and he and his wife had had a major fight. They've been fighting for several years. And his wife left and took the keys to his pickup truck. And he called me and he said, Jim, and he told me what happened. He says, if she comes back while I'm here, one of us is, and I don't know what to do. So I said, you know, Hector, we'll get you out of there. We'll get you someplace to spend the night. And we'll get you there. And he was worried about his truck. And I said, Hector, I said, Richard, the truck doesn't matter. We're going to make sure that both of you are safe. And then you can work out the truck later. So we got a place for him to stay or ride, and then called his father, who was in another state, and arranged for his family to pick him up. But I tell this story because it shows what we do and what my mission is. Here's someone who didn't know what to do, but he knew who he could call. Hector, the soldier that I discussed a couple minutes ago, calls me probably every 4 to 6 months, 2 in the morning. He's usually had a little too much to drink, and he's thinking about Iraq. After the first call that lasted about an hour and a half, my wife said, it's okay that you do these talks, just get out of bed. So I told you about Mario, the participant who was a major. He later became participant of the year for Project Healing Waters. Out of about 300 programs, he was selected because he did the best job of going through the program, graduating and becoming a mentor. Let me check, see how much time I have. We have quite a few female participants. You saw one of them on the video, and those of you who are fishermen, I'm sure noticed that she was clamping on the line as soon as the fish got on, which is not the way to catch a fish. And I've gotten permission from her to tell this story. She was sexually attacked by 3 other soldiers, beaten, and left out to die in the woods in sub-zero temperatures. Luckily, someone who'd been out camping, was late getting back, found her. And of course, she has terrible PTSD from that. But she will tell you the program changed her life. Suicide is a big problem in our program. It's a problem with veterans across the United States. Healing Waters takes that seriously. Twice, our entire organization, all the program leads and the assistant leads, have gotten together and had training for 3 days on suicide prevention. We had a participant in our program. I'll tell you the fun part about the story. He joined the Marines, and I'm not sure the Marines if it's first sergeant or called something else, but he started dating his daughter. So he went to Iraq, and there was a group of 42 soldiers pinned down, and there was a truck being guided towards them by radio control that was full of explosives. He jumped in a Humvee, drove it out, blocked the truck, and then just as he was hitting, he opened his door and rolled out. And then, of course, there was a major explosion. He was severely injured, was in the hospital for 6 months, and he struggled with thoughts of suicide for several years. And despite the VA's best efforts and our best efforts, he committed suicide. I'm sorry. We had been on a trip just a few days before it. One day before he committed suicide, the last day of the trip, I sat down next to him and I said, "Benny, how are you doing?" And he said, "I'm fine." And then the next day, he committed suicide. And I tell you, I had terrible guilt. I still do. You feel like, what didn't I do that I should have? I ended up having to go out to the VA and talk to someone in the suicide prevention program. And I learned that sometimes this is a 30-minute decision, that someone will think about it and have those thoughts, but not act for several years. And then one day, in a 30-minute time period, they decide to commit suicide. So that's hard on a group. But as I said before, we work a lot with amputees. I'm proud to say that I taught a one-armed person to tie flies. I don't know if there's any fly tiers here, but we have special equipment that allows people who are, missing an arm or leg to participate. And so we can teach someone with one hand to tie flies. We also have equipment where someone with one hand can cast and catch a fish. And so my theory is I can take anybody on a trip and they can catch a fish. Our national organization called me a couple of years ago and said, "We have a guy in Colorado. Can you take him on a trip, but we'll get him there because we know you'll take care of him." So I talked to him and he goes, "Oh yeah, I got a wheelchair." And I go, "Okay, we can get you down to the stream. We'll find a way." So he shows up and he has an electric wheelchair that weighs, I don't know what, but a lot. And we're up at Stony Pass, just over the top fishing it. 12,500 feet. And I can tell you, it is difficult to carry an electric wheelchair down to the stream at that altitude. On his first day of fishing, he caught a 6-pound fish. You know, and I said, Larry, quit. It's all downhill from here. So, you know, I think that's enough information for you to understand what we do and what we want to achieve. So if anybody's got any questions? No questions. You want to hear some more stories? Okay, well, thank you very much. I appreciate you inviting me. Thank you for inviting me.
Wanted to give you a gift from our club is a paperweight to help you remember that you have been here. And I don't have permission to do this, but I wrote out a check. Actually, Gordon wrote out a check to help you with your fundraising efforts for $300. Do I have approval to do this? Yeah.
Thank you. I'm from West Texas, where Dr. Pepper's lives. I lived in the town where this was invented. Story. 7th grade in civics class in school, they tell you the story of how this was invented.
Okay, Bob, Phelan is in charge of our next portion of the program.
Yeah, are we on? Yeah. We have two fallen veterans to remember at this particular meeting. And I'd like to recognize their names, but also I'd like to recognize family members who have come to this meeting. The first one is a gentleman by the name of Philip Oberstar. Philip Oberstar was in the U.S. Army from 1964 to 66 and was a Vietnam veteran. His wife Carol and family are here, and I wonder if they would stand, please. We also have another veteran to recognize, and that's the veteran whose name is James Dramstad. James Dramstad died several months ago. He was in the U.S. Army, and he was from the Engineer Battalion. He was also in Vietnam. His wife Teresa and family are here, and I wonder if you would all stand for it.
Going outside the door because I know people wear hearing aids.
you all.
Thank you. That concludes the. Carol.
Yes, I just would like to thank the Veterans Club and all of you for coming today and acknowledging my husband, Philip. It's just a great honor to be here. And I want to thank all of you for our service to this great country. Thank you.
Moving on to the business of our meeting. Gordon has treasury report.
Good morning, members. This is going to be a short report because there wasn't really a lot of activity for the month of December. We started out with a balance of $3,197.69. We had deposits of two deposits of $199 and $150. One deposit $14.49 for a senior rebate groceries realize. Thank you, Richard. There were $602.16 worth of expenses, almost 100% for the Manhattan Dolls. We also had $149.90 for what do you call this? Zoom. It was a membership or a donation or something, but it was a fee for our Zoom membership. That ended with a closing balance of $2,809.12. That's as of December 31st. Our Patriots Pantry, we spent $57.98, and that leaves us a balance of $629.73 yet to be donated to the pantry. That's all for December. One acknowledgement this morning, Roger handed me a check for $350 for contribution from real estate sales, which we appreciate. Thank you, Roger. Questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon. Part of that deposits as a result of sponsorship donations, and during the month of December, we had 4 people that made donations to our club in the category of the chief. They were Betty Petrowski, Walmart. Let me tell you about Walmart. When I went over to buy the product for the Thanksgiving baskets and Christmas baskets that we gave out, I went over to customer service and I asked them if they would honor a 10% veterans discount. Told them what the program was that we were doing, and they said, "Well, we don't do that, but we would be happy to give you a gift card." I have no clue what the amount of the gift card was in any case, but when I went to the cash register with it to pay it out, it was approximately double what our 10% discount would have been. Be that as it may, that put them into the cheap category for donations. I just really wanted to tell the membership about that experience. I thought it was very generous. Also, Gail Irvin made a contribution specifically to the Patriots Pantry, and Andy Scott. So I'm adding them to our sponsorship list. And, Mary has the list of all of our sponsors up on the screen. Okay, Pearl Harbor Day. For those of you that came to our program, it was just great fun. And it was an opportunity to see approximately 200 smiling faces here in Sunflower. The flags out in the front were stunning when people arrived, so that put everybody in a good mood. The music was fabulous. We had sold sponsorships for advertising on the back of the program. And those sponsorships came to $1,820. Our expenses for the program, $263, which gave us a donation profit. I don't know what you call it. Net donation of approximately $1,560. So in addition to having just a fabulous program, making a big difference in the community of Sunflower, the veterans getting recognition for it, also have a very generous amount of contribution. If you missed the program, that was part of it. It was a great trip down there. First Sunday in December, we had a three club potluck sponsored by the Oro Valley chapter up in Sun City. And we had some members from this club go. They had approximately 60 people there from Marana Veterans Club, our Veterans Club, and Oro Valley. That showed we had enough food probably for the entire Oro Valley Sun City. It was just I've never seen so many crock pots in one location. It was amazing. And it was a lot of fun. People shared their stories. That was my first experience with the missing man table. So it was a good event. They want to do it again, and we probably will be doing the three club something. So keep that in mind as we get further down the road when that's announced. Okay, new business. Rusted Spurs. It's going to be our February 7th fundraiser. Tickets are already on sale out there in the lobby. In fact, Carol picked up the tickets yesterday to cut them and sold two before selling them. So it's basically going to be cowboy music, right?
Western.
Sons of the Pioneers. Out the cheese. Lights up.
So that was just a little teaser for you. Tickets are $10. Stop and get them on your way out because it is going to be limited seating, just exactly like the Manhattan Dolls was. So the opportunity is for the Vets Club to get their tickets first. The way this came about was we happen to have a member of our club. His name is Herb Hamill, who offered, he is a member of this trio, and he offered to put on a program for us for free. All of the proceeds from ticket sales or anything else comes to the Veterans Club. That's why it's called a fundraiser. I thought it was very, very generous. It was originally scheduled for the 17th of March, St. Patrick's Day, a Friday. Unfortunately, one of the members moved to Corpus Christi, Texas. And so Herb came to me and said, Richard, I hope you haven't done a lot of work on this. I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to do this program. And I said, well, what if we brought a person from Corpus Christi up here at our expense, basically. If we spend $400 and we make $2,000, isn't that better than zero? And so he agreed with me. He said, well, I just feel like I'm going back on my original thing. And I said, it's okay. We would rather have an event, you know, and it was going to be, we're going to be in town anyway, because they were going to be out at the Marana Farm Day celebration on that particular weekend in February. So I was able to change the date from the 17th of March, having the center be available and open on the 7th of February. So that's how it's going to happen. I'm going to be a name, sorry, but the event is going to be great fun anyway. Okay, Tom is going to talk briefly about ballot measure 130 and the PAC Act. Do you want to come up here, Tom? Do you want to bring it?
If I get up. We needed to see you.
You know, you didn't do your walk this morning, so this counts.
This counts. Every one of these steps count. So a couple of things. First of all, the best thing that ever happened to us as veterans was Proposition 130. We get a discount for complete erasure of our property taxes based on the percentage of disability. So two things have to happen. You have to go to the Pima County Assessor. You take your DD 214 and your letter from the VA, whether it's 10% rating or 100% rating. And based on that rating, they will reduce your property tax by that much. So in my case, I'm 100% disabled. Several years ago, you could have applied at Pima County Assessor's Office for a discount. I got a $500 discount off my property taxes for the last 3 years. So I called the other day to see how this new program is going to affect me. And she told me that I did not have to reapply because I was 100%. They already have my letter. They already have my DD 214. She said, you're already in the program, so you will begin to get zero property taxes from here on out. So I thought that was a great deal. So no matter what percentage you are, unless you don't like extra money, if that's the case, change the name on the letter to mine. And maybe I'll get an extra. But it's well worth the trip down there. They're very kind. Give you some funding. Ward's already done it, right?
I'll add that they don't have the paperwork unless you are 100% of last year. When I called, they said they will take your name, address, and all. When they get the forms in today or the first of the year, they would send them to us. And then you would, again, like Tom said, bring your DD 214, your letter, and your somewhere.
So it's a.
I just wanted to insert here that Tom would change it to his name. Make your check out to the Sunflower Veterans Club.
So that's a Proposition 130 work. So I would certainly give a call to the Pima County Assessor's Office and start that paperwork to get that information. And then the PAC Act. As you know, I'm not a service officer and I don't know a hell of a lot about that kind of stuff. So I went to my brother, who happens to be in the Caribbean, and he gave me some paperwork. And he said, here, just tell them about it. So here I go. So the PAC Act is new. It opened up here recently. It's all about toxic substances and the burn pits, those kind of things. David, you probably explain this better than I can. You're actually a service. So you want to do this? You know about PAC Act? You're smarter than I am. I'll leave you my notes if you want.
My name is David Morales. I'm commander of DAV Chapter 4. We're Pioneer Road behind the Bisbee Breakfast Cafe. We are open from 9 to 3, Monday to Friday. Anybody with a disability, please come see us. If you go, there's 2 other chapters in Tucson. Chapter 18, chapter 28, and of course, chapter 4. Chapter 2, no longer with us. When you go to us, we're going to take care of you. You go to chapter 18, We're 28, you're gonna have a beer and a hamburger, but that's about it. So if you got a disability problem, go see us. I got some very good news. On the 20th of January, we're setting up 9 new service officers, plus the ones that we have now. So I suggest that if you or somebody else has a disability problem, come see us. And let me tell you, I have 3 service officers nobody can beat. I mean, they know it inside out. The PACT Act, I personally believe the reason that President Biden signed it was because of the son. He was next to a burn pit and he got cancer because of the exposure to the fuel and what have you. The PACT Act, anything like Agent Orange in Vietnam, also asbestos, anything that you got exposed to in the military, you can apply for it. So if there's anything that you have, please go see us. We're there, you know, from 9 to 3, and there's 2 officers on duty. After January 20, and we'll probably have 3 officers on duty. So if you know anybody, go see us, please.
David, do we need to call for an appointment?
It might be better, but you can go in because if we already are attending to 2 people and you gotta wait, this way if you have an appointment, you go in, no matter if there's 10 people there. We honor appointments. Does anybody have any questions before I sit down?
Let's have one.
The Camp Lejeune water problems. That's lawyer type. We don't deal with it. In other words, you gotta go see a lawyer for that. And to my understanding, they will honor it, but it's strictly for a lawyer.
Thank you, David. The other day, it has flyers were there about the PACT Act be on the table. So if you have questions about it, or you know, need information about it, it's right over there on the table. Pick one up on your way out.
It's important to understand also that if you've applied before and were denied, there are 20 new presumptive areas that they're covering. Very important to go back and see a service officer and reapply and make sure you get all of those items checked out. And these guys know all the substances that can create problems and all the other diseases. So make sure you check it out. Don't quit on it.
The reason that I hand the microphone around is because if I don't, it doesn't get picked up on a recording.
The Camp Lejeune question came up, and this is secondhand information, but I'm active in the American Legion back in Minnesota. And a Marine came to our meeting and said, if you're going to apply for this Camp Lejeune thing, be very, very careful. He said, what he was told, if you take their benefits, he was told it's going to be $100 grand if you got accepted into the program. But if you have any VA connection, the VA will deduct any service that you get at the VA from that $100,000 that you received in this lawsuit. So be very careful. And that's secondhand information, but I think it's true.
And the double-edged sword. Okay.
I just want to let everybody know that there's also a link to the VA website about the PACT Act on the website. So if you go there under resources, there's a link to it there. You can read all about it right there as well. So there's a lot of different ways to get the information. Sure. I'm a Camp Lejeune Marine, and the thing you have to watch out for, the lawyers are involved. And I apologize if there's any lawyers here. But I contacted a firm, and what you're seeing on TV are people that are trying to find customers for law firms, and law firms bid on them. And they sent me the paperwork from a law firm in Texas where they absorb all of the expenses if you don't collect any money. And that's the good part. The bad part is they take 40%, 60% of the benefits, this particular firm, after you repaid all the expenses. And I'm not going any further with it.
Okay, one of the things that came up in the little discussion that I would like to bring out, Larry has done a fabulous job on our website. And just in the last few days, he has added several links to different information and programs on our website. We have speakers like we had today. It will end up on our website. There's a ton of information there. Larry, thank you so much. He spent hours and hours. So please go ahead and use the website. It's there for us. Okay. New people, and I know we have some because some people introduced themselves to me already. Not been to a meeting before.
Hi, my name is Tom Barrow. I'm over on Starry Night in the U.S. Air Force.
Thank you and welcome.
Hey, I'm Eric Trofe, airport retired as of 2014, still a Department of Defense civilian employee, new to Sunflower, first time here.
Not only we can lawyer too, I'm Bob Saylor, U.S. Marines, and been here since last April.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else, new people? And if you would please, in case you didn't, there's not a lot of lines on the bottom of our membership sheet here. But if you would put down your information and email address and stuff before you leave, you will get notifications about all of the different things.
I have a form right here.
And okay. Many of these people have filled out the form. I have that form, but we need to get them on our sheet. Okay.
On the sheet, we'll get on the sheet, but.
I'm Julia Pegas. I live on West Wandering, Coyote Drive. And I was in the Navy for 10 years.
Virginia Landers, was in the Marine Corps many years ago. I live on Cottonwood Wash. I've been here about 3 years.
Thank you. I think one of the successes that we can talk about was when we had the expo out here. Many people signed up on the account form, the new information form that David held up over there before. And so in the last few days, I contacted 9 people that were new names that had not been members of our club, but lived in our community. And so 3 or 4 of those names are here. And I really, really want to welcome you for coming on out. Come every month because we're going to have some interesting speakers. Okay, for the good of the cause.
COVID kind of killed our program to promote sunflower shirts, jackets, and hats. We've scheduled here in the center on Saturday in the library from 1 until 3. And I need a couple of volunteers, or the chairman will appoint a couple of people to help me. But I have some samples here. We have caps, jackets. Tom has one of the heavyweight jackets on. I've got one of the lightweight jackets, and I thought Dennis would be having one, but we have hats and things. I would recommend, particularly the ladies present, if you bring your own article of clothing that you know fits well and that you like, you can't beat the price. It's somewhere near $15 for the lady to embroider it with it. Years ago, probably 10, 12 years ago, we paid a fee to get this particular design in the machine. And even the men, if you have a jacket or something there's inevitably some disappointments when people try on the shirts and things and then bring them back home after they get them. They're not quite what they expected, and we obviously can't take returns or anything like that. It's a non-profit exercise for the club, and we would like to kind of get it back started again.
What you said.
Thank you, Jim. Dennis and Jim, okay? And I thought it jumped on my mind, but thank you.
I just, for good cause, I just want to thank the Sunflower Veterans Club as chairman of the Arizona Veterans Memorial Cemetery Foundation. We appreciate all that you do for us. Reaching Across America, putting the flags out, just your participation in the missing person. Yeah, I get it. All the programs we run, the gym click tickets, everything that we do, we truly appreciate what you do for us. Thank you.
Mr. President, this is the first chance I've had since we've had a meeting since Veterans Day. And as the chairman of Veterans Day, I want to say thank you to everybody that pitched in at the last minute and pulled the thing together while I was suffering from COVID. And we've got so many positive comments. But I do want to make a special thank you to Don Seymour, who headed this program up for the last 12 years and guided me through my first year. So Don, would you stand up just so everybody can see who you are since they don't know? You did a great job and you were really patient with me and you guided me through it and I'm so proud. Thanks, Don.
I'm very proud that Dan jumped in. Thank you, Dan. You got 11 years to go.
I don't know.
Just a couple of quick things. First of all, on this PAC deck, I don't see anything for Vietnam veterans. Is it?
It covers agent owner.
Okay, right. And secondly, also about the DAV, I moved here pushing 9 years ago now. And at 65 plus, I walked into his office, no idea about being able to get benefits. And they really took care of me. And you know, I'm at 70% today and thankful for it. And one final thing was, I don't know if people know, but there is free transportation to VA hospital for any appointments. If you are 30% disabled, I have a phone number you can call and they will transport you to and from. No charge.
1 week notice.
Actually, I've done it in 2 days, but they liked it for time. Thank you.
Gordon, would you like to get that information to Larry so that he can get that up on the website? Yeah.
What other, one other money saving thing that I figured out was if you're 100%, you don't pay license plate tax either. You go to the motor vehicle department, take your letter with you, and they will reduce your, just pay $11 for your license plate. That's it.
So that's, you're talking about that tax part that comes on your license bill? Okay. One other thing, there is a flyer for camaraderie dinner. It's an all veterans, active duty, guard, reservists, family members, whatever, are invited to join us every Friday for a free dinner hosted by Rally Point, Arizona. It's not close by. It's over at 504 West 29th Street. But it's a rally thing and they just want veterans to come, have dinner, sit around the table, visit, kind of like we do here with our coffee and donuts. So if you're interested in that, I can make more copies. I've got that up here. Anything else? Oh, we've got happy birthday on Monday. Ted is going to be 98 years old. We did a series on for the sun catcher. Ted, thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for reminding.
That means Bob's not the old guy anymore.
Me. Anything else? We're adjourned. Thank you.